Hi, it's Inange with Questioning Thoughts. Please like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, and share if you like this content. Um, Sometimes I feel like I'm a broken record, but I think it's worth repeating because, you know, the people who control our perceptions of reality and our reality on many levels, like our physical reality. They have a lot of control over the quality of the food that we eat and the quality of the air and all of those things, the quality of the conversations that are had. Um, they work nonstop. They market nonstop and they campaign nonstop. So their campaigns are not every 2 years or every 4 years, they're nonstop. They're 24/7. Um, their campaigns are in billboards and magazines and editorials and newspaper articles, and they're on podcasts and stories and literature and on the news and the nightly news and the morning news and the daytime news and talk shows everywhere. They campaign nonstop. And the money that they make to campaign nonstop, if you trace the money, it goes back to, they have interests in, let's see, what shall I say? Every type of technology, like the technologies that make our lives so comfortable. I remember a couple of decades ago, Austin was called the Velvet Rut, Austin, Texas, before it really started booming, and it was still more of like a sleepy university town. This was a very cheap place to come and live, and it was a haven for artists because um, it was so easy to live here. So one of the benefits of technology is it frees us from doing the things that we would have to do if we didn't have it, right? So we don't have to wash our clothes by hand anymore. We don't even have to do our floors because there's the Roombas and all of that, and now even the Roombas do mopping services. So these entities, these corporate bodies, um, have their interest is to make as much money as possible, and then the investors, and then they have to serve the investors and make sure that the investors get a return on their investment. And we all know basically the gist of how it goes. But these big corporations basically have they've built our world because they create the plastics that make life so convenient, and they create the devices and the vehicles and the walls and the security that make life so easy. So we're living in this construct, right? And the more the more we're dependent on the construct, the more we're dependent on them. Um, and it's just a matter of fact. I'm not saying it in a woe is us sort of a way. It just is what it is and how it is. And they are relentless with their message because they're in competition. These different companies that have the same products are in competition with each other for our money and our attention, right? So they're competing with each other to get our dollars. And then they also need for us to see them as the solution to whatever problems we have. So our thinking for ourselves and amongst each other and between each other is a threat to them. I mean, I hope you're following with me. Um, because when we talk to each other, especially the more different we are from each other, and the more we talk to each other and share ideas and insights and start collaborating and innovating, the less power they have. And that's the nature of where technology is right now, where literally a person can have an idea and act on it and create something. So it's really important for us to see each other as enemies. And it's important for us, the little guys, to see each other as threats, to see each other as terrorists, to see each other as terrible people, subhuman, stupid, backwards, all of that. It's really important. Now, these corporations and these entities have inordinate amount of control over the media. As a matter of fact, they basically own the media that's called the mainstream media, which is basically the media that's allowed to have a voice and a bullhorn. And the mainstream media is considered to be the legitimate media. And it's owned by the same people and corporations and entities that basically own like these big, educational institutions and big government institutions. So when I say owned by these people, it's not necessarily like a select group of people, even though they have an inordinate amount of power, but it's also the shareholders, right? And everybody wants security. That's just normal and natural. And then some people want a lot more than security, they want control. And then also, that's a human tendency. We're all humans here, right? I'm not going to talk about aliens and I'm not going to talk about demons or anything like that. I'm just talking about these um, tendencies that we human beings have within ourselves. Um, so, that said, I think I just lost my train of thought. Or maybe just because I'm just doing like a sort of stream of consciousness right now. Um, yes, so they market to us relentlessly. And at the beginning of this, I was saying, oh, I feel like a broken record. I feel like I just keep repeating myself. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. These corporations are always repeating themselves. I mean, they are like, they'll spend like, I don't know, 30,000 grand a month just on a billboard, you know. So this is something to think about. I mean, I'm not advocating for anything in particular other than, using our God-given talents and abilities, um, and, like the love in our heart and being in touch with our gut and like what feels right. And then, using our deductive reasoning skills, um, to to basically maybe campaign on ourselves. you know, um, yeah, that's something that I want to say because it's been over a year. It's been about a year now, almost exactly a year, and many, many, not all of us have been very loyal and we followed every directive to the T. And I'm sure that many of us have found us almost a year later with our health degraded, our relationships degraded, and feeling maybe a tremendous amount of fear, hatred, and resentment towards people who won't just step in line. And we don't understand, why don't they see the truth? And it's like nobody can see the truth, especially when they're in a fear state. Um, when the culture is like like our culture is being reorganized, but it's being reorganized around fear and death. And so the fear of death and, the death counts and the talk of death are, it's like this, I don't know, it's like this nest of stuff. Like that's the driver and that's the motivator for what we do and we don't do, and who we hate and who we love and who we revere and who we vilify. And it's all based on this conversation around fear and death, right? And um, that that's not sustainable any more than going into a village, killing everybody, taking all their stuff is sustainable. Because even if you kill everybody in the village, right, and you eat all their stuff, then what? You eat all their stuff, there's no more stuff to eat, right? And then you die. And that's like the nature of fear. And that's the nature of anger. And that's the nature of ignorance. And that's the nature of, you know, um, all of these forces that wind up being destructive. So, how about we little guys, we human beings who don't have like full control over these levers of power, let's campaign on each other for how wonderful we are and how brilliant and innovative we are and how we have this opportunity right now with the technology to create a world that's actually just. It will never be perfect, it'll never be a utopia, but it will be much better. And it'll be, a world in which, we don't approve of censorship and we don't approve of othering people and vilifying them. And we don't approve of making up narratives of people about people and then not allowing people to just go to the source and say, what do you really believe? You know, um, we have an opportunity. It's like for me, I see it so clearly, and I've already been experiencing it in this past year, where like our world is split, and there are people who live in tremendous fear, and then there are people who live in tremendous freedom. And freedom doesn't mean that fear doesn't exist, but freedom means people are living courageously and are not allowing, the fear of being shunned for not thinking and saying the right things. They're not allowing that fear to stop them from going out and exploring and meeting and researching and looking at data and coming to their own conclusions and then acting accordingly. So, there's one last thing. I made a short video about the irony of restaurants saying that they're going to continue the masking mandates. They're going to continue the masking mandates, which means that they have been open this whole time, which means that they've allowed patrons to come in and take their masks off while they're sitting at the table, as if the virus is so intelligent that it knows to just kind of like go to sleep while people are sitting at tables talking to each other over food, you know. But the fear narrative and the campaign of fear has been so relentless for such a long period of time that many people who have bought into the fear or accepted it because they have good hearts and they really want to do something tangible to make things better, right? Can't even make the connection. It's like these neural pathways have been so deeply ingrained that it's impossible now because the fear is so intense. It's impossible to come to a logical conclusion, which is that COVID-19 is not deadly. COVID-19 is, you know, it's no more deadly than the flu. And there are other diseases that are far more deadly than COVID-19, and that there was never any legitimate reason for locking the economy up. And, I think it would have been wonderful if these, Charles Schwab with Davos and, like, and like the Council of Foreign Relations and like all of these like big time leaders who have designs on the world, they don't think we're very intelligent, because instead of using this virus and the narrative of the virus to shut everything down and reorganize the world economy, they could have just said, hey guys, there's all these new technologies, and we need to just reorganize ourselves so we can take advantage of them. But no, of course they're not going to say that, because they want to be the only ones who can benefit from these new technologies. and they want us to keep it. It's to their benefit for us to be kept in the dark in a constant state of fear and just following their orders so that they can take advantage of this amazing renaissance, um, and with these amazing technologies, you know. And I'm not okay. I'm not going to say those choice phrases that are so triggering now, but anybody can do their research and go and read and watch them. Watch them. If somebody says something, believe them. They say, this is what we believe, this is what we're trying to do. These are our designs on the world, these are our plans, and we're using COVID-19 as the reason, as the justification to accomplish all of these different agendas that we have. That, of course, are, unless you and I take the initiative, we're not going to benefit from unless we take the initiative. So, if somebody is always saying, look over there, look over there, look over there, they're doing something here, like, look over there, and they're doing something over here, right? That's just the way it is. I don't know, it's not that complicated. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share. Please forgive me. I feel like I rambled a little bit, but I personally feel satisfied. Um, until next time, thank you for hanging in here with me. Please comment, share, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'd really appreciate it. Bye.